What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Whole Views, and today we're going to be talking about Death on the Nile. Consider subscribing to the channel. Most reviews come from people who aren't subscribed, so we would deeply appreciate it if you would hit the subscribe button, hit the alerts, come back and check out more trailer reviews, movie reviews, trailer reactions, and Firearms Friday, just the things that we like to do here on the channel. Death on the Nile is a murder mystery movie starring Kenneth Branagh, Gal Gadot, Armie Hammer, and many more. I thought this movie was a good time. I give it a 7.2 overall when I tabulate my scores, and without further ado, let's get into those scores and why I've landed how I landed on the film. The story, I give it an 8 out of 10 because, you know, it's a nice little murder mystery. There's a lot of relationship drama and a lot of that stuff to start out with, but as the movie continues to flow, you get into the murder mystery, you get to learning people's motives, and it's quite entertaining. As you watch the film, there's quite a bit of sexual tension throughout watching the entirety of it, but it's so subtle that it's not overdone, and it leaves me with a very good taste in my mouth. You know what I mean? Like, I really enjoyed the way they cooked all the elements of the relationship drama and all the sexual tensions and the little micro interactions that people have with one another. It turned out really well. Besides that, it's just a pretty standard murder mystery though, and if you like murder mysteries, then this is the one for you. What makes it stand above most thrillers and most murder mystery movies that come out is the fact that it's executed so well. And when talking about that execution, we want to move it right along into the visuals. Now, I say execution and related to the visuals because that's where you get to talk about the performances you see on screen, as well as the imagery, talking about cinematography, colors, and things like that. And I really did enjoy the performances here. Nothing that was really like mind-blowing or blowing you out of the water per se, but there were a lot of solid performances all around, as well as the cinematography is something I enjoyed, even though I may find myself in the minority when saying what I'm about to say. Early on in the story, there's a lot of wide shots, or really kind of sporadically throughout the film, there's some wide shots. But I was kind of impressed with the ones that I saw early on, only to realize, you know, after seeing the scenes unfold, a lot of these wide shots and a lot of these great Egyptian monuments and sets are like CGI. I wonder, and I posed the question, I'm gonna put it in a blog post, can CGI be stunning? And I'll go into more detail there. But I did find the movie to look very good when I looked at it on the screen. You know, the colors really popped because they were kind of artificial colors. It makes me think of like a Samsung photograph, like really bright, really saturated colors. And I know that's something that you wouldn't get if you were actually shooting on location and could actually see the real pyramids. So I don't know. Some people came down negatively about that, but actually I think the CG was a positive note when it talks about the Egyptian backdrop where the movie is taking place. As I previously mentioned, I feel like the colors really popped when you change settings, like specifically the first shots that you get are in like a nightclub, and the colors put out a certain vibe there. And then when you move it along to get to Egypt for the honeymoon of the couple that we're following, it's like the vibe was very different because of the strength of the colors and I guess, you know, the look and the brightness of the setting. So you know, it's not a big deal that it was CG to me, but you know, it was impressive to see it on the screen. Like, it's bright, it's crisp, it's nice looking. But not everybody felt that way. You know, so I give the visuals an 8 out of 10. Thought it was solid. Solid performances, solid looking film. The pace, I give the pace an 8 out of 10. I feel like the movie does what it has to do very quickly and very efficiently. It moves along at a decent speed and it gives you some nice nuggets, and it builds on those nuggets throughout watching the movie. The example I have is a romance between Miss Otterborn and Perot, our lead detective, the guy that we're following. We get a few micro transactions between the two, a few looks, a few glances, a smile here and there. And then by the time you get to the end of the film, you see that romance or that interest in one another kind of confirmed and solidified with the final few shots of the movie. Really cool stuff. They gave us a main story as well as a side story or little side interactions, and it didn't take up a bunch of time in doing it. You know, it's nice, it was tight, and nothing felt useless throughout watching the entire movie. That's why the pace is pretty good in this one to me. Entertainment value, I give it a 7 because if you like murder mysteries, this is the one for you. There's no action, there's not much comedy, but there's a whole lot of drama. And if you're into that, again, you're gonna enjoy yourself here. You're gonna be entertained. Rewatchability, I give this movie a 5. Mainly because this movie is a good time when you look at it for the first time. But watching it with repeat viewing is very difficult to do without an audience with you or a different audience with you that second time around. So being a mystery, there's a twist that happens towards the end of the film. You get the reveal and how everything kind of unfolds. And if you watch it again a second time on your own, you might rewatch it and be really entertained because you're trying to catch all the little things that the villains did throughout the movie to kind of show their hand. You know, you want to catch it faster that second time around. But if you take that element out of watching this movie a second time, there's a strong possibility that you won't be as entertained or as enthralled as you were upon that first viewing. That's why I say if you want to rewatch it, more than once, maybe twice, you probably have to have an audience member with you, like somebody different, and really see how they catch it and, you know, kind of play the game of guessing who did it. You know what I mean? That would make it a fun thing to rewatch. But if you're just doing this alone, the most I can get is probably 2 viewings out of this movie, even though it is a pretty good time. So without giving much spoilers away, those are my thoughts on Death on the Nile. I thought it was a pretty good movie. It deserved, you know, a little bit of credit, a little bit of box office because it was a nice thing to look at. And if you're into the murder mysteries, this was a nice looking, nice little fast-paced ride. Like it didn't linger, it didn't let you down or make you bored at any point. And really, with the motivations of all the different characters involved, it really puts you in a place where like, hey, I'm really kind of guessing as to who is the person who did this. So that makes it a fun enough thing if you like to watch movies like a detective trying to investigate right along with the investigator and figure out who done it. It's a pretty good who done it type movie. So those are my thoughts. Just wanted to share them with you all. That's all I have for the video. Enjoy yourself. Guard your heart. Go watch something good.